Now, with the regular football season coming to an end, Euro 2024 is just around the corner. And in this video, I'm going to talk you through how to play the Euro 2024 fantasy football game. All right then, so the way I thought I'd approach this video, I'm going to talk through each of the rules, the way you pick a team, transfers, match days, etc. And then I thought I'd end the video by just picking a team. I'm not necessarily saying it's a team that you should pick yourselves, but just as an example, I'll log into the website and pick a team with some decent players in there, just so you get an idea of kind of the mindset, the thinking you need to have when picking players in the game. So kicking off with the rules. So first of all, just with regards to picking your team, you can actually enter a team at any point in the tournament. So you don't necessarily have to do it for match day one when it all kicks off. But of course, you'll enter in behind everyone else on points, but genuinely enter a team at any point in the competition. You need to pick a squad of 15 players consisting of 2 goalkeepers, 5 defenders, 5 midfielders and 3 forwards. That's pretty standard across most fantasy football formats. If you play FPL, for example, pretty much the same as that. You get a 100 million euro budget to start with, and then when you get on to the round of 16 onwards, it goes up to 105, obviously, because you'd imagine at that point the better teams and the better players will progress, and largely they are more expensive, so they've kindly given us 5 million extra to spend. There is a limit on the number of players per team that you can pick. So in the group stage, you've got 3 players per national team that you can pick. Round of 16, that rises to 4. Quarterfinals is 5, semis is 6, and then the final you can have 8 players per team. I think naturally that makes sense, right? Because as you progress through the tournament, less teams are available to pick from. So I think that's quite a nice way actually of building up the numbers. And certainly for the semi-finals and finals, you're kind of going to need to get coverage from each team that's playing. I'm going to introduce you to the concept of match days, and it's essentially the same as game weeks in any standard fantasy football game basically, but because it's a Euros and more of a tournament structure, they've referred to it with this game in terms of match days. There's going to be 7 in total across the tournament, split over more than one day as you'd expect, except for the final, because of course the final is just one game on one day. There's some interesting dynamics around substitutions in captains. So during the course of a match day, you are actually able to switch players out and switch subs in and even change your captain. So what you can't do is sub in or change captain to a player that's already played. So the way that works basically, if you've got a set of players that haven't scored very well, and you've got a set of players on your bench that are still lined up to play, you can sub them in for players that have already played. But what you can't do is sub in or change your captain for a player that has already played, if that makes sense. So you can bring in players that haven't played for players that have played, but not the other way around. You can sub out during a game week a maximum of 4 players, but if a player gets sent off during a match day, you're unable to sub them out. And I think, yeah, the whole notion around that is it gives you an opportunity across the game week to manage your team actively and potentially score more points. And the important thing to remember there is if a player has already played and they're sitting on your bench, you cannot then sub them in. You have to basically arrange your players by the dates that they played and sub in and out according to that. All right then, so a few more specifics about actually managing your team. Now, all the points you get from a match day are going to obviously be scored by players that are in your starting 11. You have to set your team before the deadline, and any players that don't feature will automatically be replaced by your subs. So that's kind of the same sort of operating mode as FPL and other international tournament fantasy games, right? Pretty much any formation is allowed in the game, but you have to stick by the following rules. You have to pick 1 goalkeeper, 3 defenders, 2 midfielders and 1 forward. So that opens up, I think, more formations than you can actually pick in FPL. Yeah, I really like that structure of doing things. And you get a captain. Captains score 2 times points, and you can change your captain to any player as long as they haven't played yet. So for example, I don't know, this isn't actually the fact, it's not the way the games are playing. But if Mbappe plays on the first day, for example, and you have him as your captain, he blanks. Kane plays on the second day, you can change your captain from Mbappe to Kane in the hopes that Kane gets more points when he plays. That's the kind of concept around managing your team and switching captains. So then we've got transfers. Now you get a set of free transfers for each new match day, and any transfers that you spend above the quota that you have available, you'll get a -4 in terms of your overall score. So basically, if you play FPL, it's the same concept as that. You can carry 1 transfer forwards to the next match day until the knockout stage. So across the group stage, basically, you can carry over one transfer, similar to how FPL sort of works. Now, there is a set number of transfers that you'll get for each match day. So before the start of the game, unlimited, right? You can make any change to your team, bring any players in or out, right up until the first deadline. And then for each match day of the group stage, you get 2 transfers. The game gives you unlimited transfers before the last 16. Obviously, that's a period of time where lots of teams get removed from the game. So they give you unlimited transfers to manage that. Quarterfinals, you get 3 free transfers. Semi-finals, you get 4. And for the final, you get 5. So you can't change your whole team basically beyond the last 16. So I would suggest that, without going too far ahead in terms of the team I'll pick, because I think I'll make a future video about that. When picking your team at the last 16, not only do you have to pick players you think will score well, you have to pick players who you think will stay in the tournament for the longest, right? Because, you know, last 16 to quarterfinals, if loads of your players get knocked out in the last 16, you've only got 3 new transfers to prepare for the quarterfinals. So just something to bear in mind. All right, on to the deadlines. This is all Central European time, so you'll have to do your own sort of translation into what that means for your local time. So those are the dates of the deadlines. I'm not going to go through full detail all of them. One thing to say is that the deadlines are scheduled for the kickoff of the first game for each match day. So you will see how teams line up for that first game, which is quite helpful basically to help you pick your team, particularly for match day 1, right? You know, you could go heavy into Germany are going to play first, right? You could go heavy into Germany, who have got a decent group, for example. They're the home team. Go heavy into Germany, and then if players you've picked that play for Germany aren't in the starting lineup, you can quickly make some changes to your team in the hour between the lineup getting announced and the deadline, in order to make your team the best possible, basically. So that's a really good feature of this game. The deadline is at the first kickoff of each match day. So the game does have a couple of chips that you have at your disposal to use. First up, you've got a wildcard, which works in a very similar way to how it does in FPL. I'm just going to talk to you about how the chips work, and then I'll talk to you about when you can use them, etc. in the next slide. So the wildcard, you get a chance basically to make unlimited changes to your squad with upcoming match days in mind, similar to how it works in FPL. If you play that game, you can make unlimited transfers while remaining in budget. So you can make unlimited transfers to your team, pick any players you want, as long as they stick within the budget that you have available. Any players you transfer in will stay in your squad once that match day has finished. And if you've already made transfers ahead of a match day and then play your wild card, the transfers you made previously will just be cancelled, along with any points deductions. So you can cancel basically a big hit by just hitting the wildcard button. Now, Limitless, I think, works in a similar way to the free hit chip in FPL, but you get no budget restrictions. So you can pick your dream squad basically for one match day only, unlimited transfers, no budget restrictions. And once that match day has finished, your team will revert to what it was before. Normal rules for subs and captain changes apply that I spoke about previously. But you have to stick within the rules for the number of players you can pick per team. That's the only rule that really applies for the Limitless chip. And again, you can wipe any transfers, etc. you've made previously that week by playing the chip. So in terms of a bit more chip info, you get 1 wildcard and 1 Limitless to use during the tournament. You can use them on any match day, so except for 1 or 4, because 1 you get unlimited transfers beforehand, and number 4, match day number 4, is the round of 16. In my mind, depending on how lucky I guess you get on the round of 16 picks when you pick your team, I'm of the mind that the most points are going to be scored in this game during the group stage. So yes, whilst you can use the chips in any round, I'd suggest definitely using your Limitless chip during the group stage, because that will just maximize your points. Wildcard you might want to save for knockouts, but again, I think you could get some good use out of them, particularly, for example, if you get off to a bad start, you can get some good use out of it in the group stage as well. And then just gives you a bit more info about whether you get unlimited transfers, unlimited budgets, and team resetting, etc. Obviously, the wildcard is permanent. The Limitless one is not. Unlimited transfers on both, but you've got a limited budget on your wildcard. Limitless, unlimited budget. Right, now we're on to the point scoring, and there are a few point scoring, actions, I guess, that apply to all players in the game. So you get 1 point for an appearance, an additional point for 60 minutes on the pitch. You get an extra point if your player scores a goal from outside the box. Assists for all positions are worth 3 points. Every 3 ball recoveries for a player are worth 1 point. So, if you're picking a player that you expect to get lots of tackles within the game, they're going to pick up some bonus points for you. If they officially get awarded the player of the match, your player will score 3 points. With regards to penalties, you get 2 points for winning one and 1 point taken away if your player concedes a penalty. But if the penalty is related to a handball, it doesn't count. You get the points for scoring the penalty, but you don't get any for winning or losing any for conceding it. If your player misses a penalty, across the board it's a -2. I've misspelled card there. Yellow cards are -1, red cards are -3, and an own goal is -2. Defenders then, it's the same points for scoring a goal. You get 6, 4 for a clean sheet, and similar to the goalkeepers, it's -1 for every 2 goals conceded. And remember, in the points, you get points for an assist, and then also for ball recoveries as well. So defenders, you want to be picking ones who expect to make a few tackles, get some good attacking returns, and obviously keep clean sheets. Midfielders, they get 5 points for scoring a goal and an additional point if they keep a clean sheet. I don't think that 1 point for a clean sheet is necessarily that valuable, but you do get more points, for example, than a forward who they score 4 for scoring a goal. So 3 points for an assist, 5 points for a goal, 1 point for a clean sheet for midfielders, 3 points for an assist, 4 for a goal, and they don't get clean sheet points for forwards. Okay, so that should be everything you need to know about the rules of the game. And now I'm just going to spend the next 5 or 10 minutes just going through a team selection, just to give you an idea of my mindset, etc. when picking players. I'm not necessarily saying this is my final team selection. I mean, most of the squads haven't been fully announced yet, right? So I can't say it's my final team selection, but just to give you an idea of the players, etc. that I'm going to pick. All right, so I'm in the official Euro 2024 fantasy game. I'll leave a link in the description to the game just so you can access it yourself quite easily. It's very simple to find on Google if you don't want to click the link. But I'm on the squad selection screen, and I just thought I'd talk you through. I'll pick a basic team and talk you through the process of doing so. So strikers, for example, I think I'm going to go definitely for Mbappe, Harry Kane, and then Kai Havertz seems to be the first choice centre forward for Germany. So I'm just going to find him and crack him in the team as well. So that's my front three. Midfield, I really like Wirtz. I think he's had a fantastic season for Leverkusen, and I think he's going to be really important for them. I'll do Bellingham as well. We'll go for Bellingham. Let's just see what else we've got. Who else can we go for here? Bruno Fernandes, I really like his chances. I don't think Ronaldo is necessarily going to be first choice for Portugal anymore. So it means I think Bruno Fernandes will take some penalties. I'll go for Trossard, who's obviously been playing really well for Arsenal. I'll then, just for the sake of it, I'll pick a minimum price midfielder for my bench. We just filtered by, selected by, see who's the most selected minimum price midfielder. Schmid for Hungary, we'll just go for him for now. As we said, things will work themselves out later on. In terms of defenders, I know Schlotterbeck is a potential cheap option. I think we'll find out more over the sort of warm-up games, etc., whether he's first choice. Germany have also got a really good group, and they're at home. I'm going to go for Hernandez of France, because I think they've got a good group. Should be able to keep a fair few clean sheets. Who else can we go for here? I am just picking sort of off the cuff on some of these, not necessarily saying this is my final team by any stretch. With double England at the moment, bearing in mind I can only have 3, I think I'm going to go for John Stones. I think 5 million is a good price for him. And then I probably need to go for some very, very cheap ones. Let's see if there's a 4 million defender that's popular at the moment. Not sure about Mbala Italian. No, he's Albanian. Go for him. And then I probably need a 4.5 just to be safe. We get a starter. Go Thomas Meunier of Belgium. He's usually their first choice fullback. And in goal, got 8.5 left to spend, so I can have a 4.5 and a 4 million goalkeeper. Everyone looks to be loving Lunin for Ukraine and Dragowski for Hungary. I think that's Hungary. So yeah, as an initial team selection, that's where I'm going to sit. We'll press continue. And then just remembering what I said about swapping in subs, etc. The way you should do your team selection is picking players that play early on in the match day, regardless of the quality of players that you're replacing, as long as you manage your team like actively throughout the game where you can swap them around. So for example, I've got Kumbula here who plays before Theo Hernandez. I want to sub him in here. We'll do that. John Stones plays before Meunier, so we'll do that. And then Schmid, he plays before, let's go Bruno Fernandes. So we'll transfer him in for Bruno. And what that means basically is I've got a team of players that play early on in the match day now, and I can sub them out at any time. Just do the goalkeepers as well, because Dragowski plays before Lunin. So basically I've got players that play early selected in my team, players that play late selected on my bench, and then bearing in mind the rules around subs, etc., you can transfer in the subs for the players that have played early. Picking my captain, I've forgotten when each player plays. Let's just have a quick look, because you can change it any time. I think I'm going to go Kai Havertz as my captain. We'll go Kai Havertz as captain, remembering we can pick that any time. I always go for Custard Cream FC as my team name. And there we go. I haven't actually created an account in the game, but all you need to do then is just sign up or sign in with your UEFA account and you're good to go. So that's a little run through of a team selection. All right, and that's the end of the video. Quick little run through there of a team selection and everything you need to know ahead of picking a team for yourself in the Euro 2024 fantasy game. Now, I will come out later this week with a video around my actual team selection. I've got some data, some stats, some information about recent international games, etc. to inform an actual team selection. Like I said, that was just an example team. I don't think it's too bad, but I don't think that's quite going to be the team that I actually end up going with. So stick around for that. You can subscribe to the Goal to Goal channel, which should be just there on your screen at some point. Please like the video if you enjoyed it, and let me know in the comments if you're going to play the game. I'll catch you in my next video. Thank you very much for watching.